Mikey White back with you here for Life in Color. Sitting here with the main man, Danny Case of Vanity Strikes. I know you're obviously busy, just got back from tour. How'd that go, by the way?
It was fun. I mean, it was a short one that we did right after we had like a about 20, 25 date tour, but the one we just came back from was only about 5 or 6 dates. So it was short and sweet, but still fun. It was all Northeast.
So the reason we are here, we're going to be talking about your tattoos.
Yeah.
So obviously the big thing, as you know, is the entire sleeve.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you want, just get right into it. I mean, first question, honestly, just what all was the meaning behind it? Because just from looking at it, there's a lot of detail in that. Just, I mean, go ahead. Just what's the meaning behind it? I mean, yeah.
So basically, I took my tax return one year, and I was like, you know what, I just want to get a whole sleeve. So I went to this guy in Webster. His name was Jeremy. What the hell's his last name? I don't remember his last name. His name is Jeremy, and he worked at Nux Tattoo in Webster. And basically, I was like, listen, I have this idea. I want to do a sleeve, and here are the things that I want to incorporate in it. And I basically gave him a list of stuff, and he was like, he basically took a couple weeks, drew the whole thing out, and so that it would basically be one big flowing piece. So I got it all done essentially at once. Like 1 week I didn't have a sleeve, and then like by the next month I had a full sleeve tattoo. So I guess if I were to start from the bottom, I'll go with they all have a story. They all mean something to me. That's what I kind of wanted the idea to be, is that I didn't just want to get a tattoo to get a tattoo. I wanted it to be important to me. So I guess I'll start with the longest story one, and that's the Benjamin Franklin tattoo. A lot of people just think it's like something about money, but it is in a sense, but it's a little more in depth than that. It's a moral story about a father who makes $100 an hour, and so Benjamin Franklin is on the $100 bill, and the story goes like he comes home from work and his kid, you know, is just kind of sitting there eating dinner, and he's like, "Dad, how much do you make, you know, like for a living?" And Dad's kind of taken back by that. He's like, you're not supposed to ask people that. That's kind of a rude question. And they kind of get into an argument about it, and he sends his like kid to his room, and then later he's like, oh, maybe I was a little hard on him. Maybe he had a good reason to ask, you know, for money or whatever. And so he goes up and he talks to his kid about it, and he's like, hey, you know, if you have to know, I make $100 an hour. And the kid's like, cool, can I borrow $50? And he's just like, okay, you know what, all right, here's your $50. And the kid gets excited, and he pulls a wad of money out from under his pillow, and the dad's like, what the hell do you need my $50 for? And the kid was like, well, I've been saving it up, and I only had $50, and I wanted to buy an hour of your time. So the idea behind that is like, as much work as there is to do in everyday life, and as much like everyone is busy and all that stuff, the important thing is to remember that family and friends should always come first, because the relationships that you have in life are what's going to be most important, because eventually one day you're going to be gone, and all that's going to be left are the connections that you made and the way you made people feel. So that's the story behind that one. It's just always remember that like people should come first. Then there is the 4 cards. I think it's aces and jacks that are on my arm. Before I was a musician, I was a magician.
Nice.
And it wasn't just like, hey, pull a bunny out of a hat.
Yeah.
It was actually like street magic, like the stuff that like kind of would like freak people out, like crazy stuff like that. And so that was like 5 years of my life. So and I've always loved magic, and I always like, you know, I keep up on it and watch stuff and try to figure it out. But I spent so much time when I was younger figuring out tricks, performing them, like practicing in the mirror, and then like performing on people in real life. And so that was a big part of my life, so I got that. Then there are the drumsticks. That's because I'm actually also a drummer. I've been drumming longer than anything else. There's a couple Dragon Balls in here.
Nice.
That's self-explanatory.
Yeah.
And then there's a stick of dynamite, which is it's another story based on the who the Nobel Peace Prize was named after. His name was Arthur Nobel, and he actually was the inventor of remote dynamite. So while he was alive, because he invented that, it was supposed to be used, for like demolition, stuff like that, to like take down buildings. But it was started to become like used as a means of like war and stuff like that, I guess. And so he was known as the Merchant of Death because like he's this dude who created remote dynamite, and that's not how he wanted to be remembered, So he like built all these organizations and was like incredibly charitable, and because of that, like he had a Peace Prize, like one of the highest esteemed prizes, named after him. And now nobody knows that he was ever the Merchant of Death. Like his legacy is that the Nobel Peace Prize was named after him, and the meaning behind that is that like no matter like what happens in your life, you can always choose how you want to be remembered based on your actions. Mm-hmm. So that's what that's for. And then the last one is the Phoenix, which is up here, and that one's just like the meaning of the Phoenix is like a rebirth after death kind of thing, or like picking yourself up after you fall is kind of like a comparison to that. And I've always believed in like always getting back up one more time than you fall. So that's why I got that too. So that's all of them, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Very nice. Now, how long, like if you were to say, because you said you got in about one session.
Yep.
How long did it take?
Oh.
If you can remember.
I'm pretty sure I remember doing the math, and it was about a total of 33 hours, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. But the guy was really fast. That's the thing. And he did all the lining all at once from bottom to top, and then almost all the shading, I think, the second time. And then we finished the shading and started to do a little color, and then we had to do like color in bits and pieces because that required like the most like detail and attention and all that stuff. And I think we did like 4 or 5 sessions with color. So all in all, I'm pretty sure I remember it being 30 to 34 hours.
And now I don't know if you got the, what did your parents ever think of that type of stuff? I don't know if you ever had that discussion. I don't know, what did people think when all of a sudden you showed up with this just sleeve all of a sudden? You went from bare skin to just ink.
Right. My parents have always been, honestly, I love them to death. They've always been super supportive. And I mean, my mom was like, just make sure it's something that you want to have on your body for that stuff. I'm like, I know, yeah. So she loved it, and she wanted the same guy to touch up one of her tattoos that she didn't like. But I think he moved to Colorado, so we didn't ever end up getting in there. But yeah, she liked it, so that was cool. And my dad has always been laid back, so he was just like, cool. Yeah.
Now, what did your friends think?
Yeah, I mean, like it's hard to remember because it was in 2013, but yeah, everyone felt like touching my arm and like looking at it and like inspecting it and stuff like that. But yeah, everyone was like, wow, that looks great. I still get compliments on like the color, even though I haven't touched it up or honestly really taken that well care of it. But like the guy used like the most vibrant color ink that you can get, so like it still looks like really colorful. So I always get comments and compliments on like the artwork itself, and the guy was an amazing artist. So like it was almost all good, feedback from people, which was it's cool. It's feel good, feels good when people are like, oh my god, that looks so great.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now I did those like right on your bicep there. There's nothing there. Now are you planning on filling that in or not yet?
Yeah, I mean it was supposed to cover the whole thing, but I hadn't met him in person, so I don't know if he just thought I was like, just scrawny or whatever. But I work out quite a bit, and so my upper arms are a bit bigger than my lower arms. So like this wrapped around almost 1.5 times down here, and then at the top it didn't even wrap around like as much as it needed to. So like he had to resize it, and then it still wasn't quite enough, and I was like, that's fine, I'll just put something else in there later on. So yeah, I'm gonna get something in there. I want to get the Triforce from Zelda. Okay. with my best friends. We're all gonna get like a part of it filled in, and because like my bandmates are my best friends, so that's a tattoo that we've wanted to get for a while. So that's probably where that'll go.
Definitely. Now, are you thinking you're gonna get any Vanity Strikes influence type tattoos, like band tattoos or anything like that?
Right. Yeah, I have honestly thought of that. Either getting just like a VS or like our current logo. I was thinking about like right over the heart. But I haven't. I mean, we spend so much money to like push the band forward and keep it going that I haven't had money for tattoos in a few years. So for now, I can't get anything. But when I can, then I definitely will.
Now, just when you're able to, what kind of thoughts do you have, like for anything going forward, like any future plans that you do have?
Tattoo wise?
Yeah.
Well, there's that one for sure, and then I haven't really thought. Oh, a Lost tattoo. I need to get a Lost tattoo. It's my favorite show of all time.
There you go.
I've watched that series 7 times through.
That's me with Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah?
I've watched that show at least 4 or 5 times.
Nice. Yeah, Lost is just something that has just captivated me, and I thought it was like the greatest thing that was ever created. So I got to get a Lost tattoo. There's like this thing called the Dharma Initiative in the show, and they have all these different stations, and it's like I'm pretty sure it's an octagon with like a symbol in the middle, and they each have a different symbol for each different station. So I'm thinking of I think there's 8 stations, so I might go for Knuckles, or I might just get one and get it somewhere like on my arms or something like that.
Now, we were talking off camera that you've been, with Vanity for 7 years now. What sort of got you wanting to do music, and then did that inspire the tattoos, or did the tattoos come before the music?
No, yeah, the music definitely came before the tattoos. I mean, at first I was kind of like, I need to get tattoos because I need to, play the look. But I also liked tattoos too. So I guess if the music wasn't there, I'm not sure if I ever would have gotten, like a whole sleeve. I might have gotten 1 or 2 things, but, I'm definitely glad that because I got into music that I, went for the whole thing. But yeah, music definitely came first. I mean, I started drumming at age 12, so.
When I was at a Sergeant Sailor show, Kyle Burley, the lead singer, he said that Rochester has one of the best music scenes in the nation. What do you think to that type of thing? Do you think Rochester, just for whatever reason, just has just this amazing music scene in general?
Yeah.
Just what do you think of that?
I mean, Rochester's is cool. It's cool because it's a city, but it's not like a big city where like no one really knows each other. Everyone just passes by each other, never knowing the people that you walk by. It's like a lot of people seem connected. You can always bump into someone somewhere. So like it's a big place, but everybody knows each other for the most part. And so like there's always support for bands, and the bands that continue on and keep going because of the great support. Like the shows get bigger, the bands get tighter, the bands get better, and I think that's been big for growing the music scene for sure. Because I remember it seemed like there was a few years back where like it just seemed like bands were dropping like flies left and right, and it seems like the last 2 years it's really been building up incredibly well. Like you've got Reformer's been around for a while. We got Outlier now, they're great. Unwill, Until We Are Ghosts, Sirens and Sailors, obviously, and like everywhere you go, there's always going to be a good show. So yeah, I would agree with that for sure. There's not a lot of places that have such a supportive scene like Rochester.
Any tours on the way for Vanity Strikes? What's the next step for you guys?
We've got like a week in February, but after that we're going to focus on like shooting a music video, doing lyric videos, promotion for the new album, printing the CDs. We actually have to finish up the last song and then create an intro and outro because we wanted to add a couple more tracks. I mean, they're not just filler. We wanted it to have meaning in the beginning and in the end. So we're finishing up the album, doing a bunch of music video stuff, or we're trying to set it up at least. Then get the artwork done for the album, and then all this other promotional stuff, and then pitch it to labels, and then get ready for summer. So one short tour, and then maybe like a couple dates here and there, and then we're gonna have like a CD release show in early summer.
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll definitely be looking forward to it. I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. It was a lot of fun. So thank you so much. Again, Danny Case from Vanity Strikes. Thank you.
See ya.
My heart is filled with passion. My eyes have seen what we could become. me from my vision.